You're live.
Yo, yo, yo! What up, dog?
Stop it.
What up, G?
It's embarrassing.
Why is this embarrassing? Why is this embarrassing? Because, do we have any,
Hang on.
Mom has the whatchamacallit.
First of all, today is September 9th, 2017. Welcome back to Resistance Chicks, and we are your hosts.
Mom has the do-rags.
Why are we do-ragging?
We're do-ragging because I thought this would be a good story to start on while everybody was coming. Welcome, everyone.
Welcome, everyone.
So,
I'm not going to do-rag because I'm pulling up the
that's
chat.
more of a Rambo look.
Yes!
Right?
Yes.
So, you know, we here at Resistance Chicks, we take our
You look awesome.
stories seriously. And we think that, you know, it's really important not to make fun of things that are really serious.
Yes.
And I find this incredibly an uplifting story. It's going to bring a tear to your eye. Sacramento is going to begin to pay gangbangers if they stop killing people. Now, I find this to be a wonderful, wonderful sentiment. If you stop killing people, then we are going to give you some money so that, you know, we know that you're in the business of killing people.
Right.
And
it's not extortion. This is totally different.
right.
Because I think that the city is volunteering this olive branch, right?
Yeah.
To the gangbangers.
This is
You're the cutest gangbanger I ever saw.
thank you, Machola. After a violent weekend of suspected gang-relating shootings, Tuesday, the Sacramento City Council took action to reduce the bloodshed. It approved a controversial program called Advance Peace. And it's, you know, obviously towards all gang members of all races and creeds, which offers cash stipends to gang members who remain peaceful. Let's get going on doing everything we can to save innocent lives. The program targets key gang agitators, offering them cash stipends, which they will probably not use to start more drug running or buy guns or anything like that. To graduate school and remain peaceful. It already claims success in dropping crime rates in Richmond, but the city would still have to pay half of the cost of the program, $1.5 million, out of the city's general fund.
Wow.
The city council agreed, voting 9-0.
They mean business. Here's the thing. To me, this is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. However...
Wait, no. I have a new stick.
Okay.
Google and YouTube are demonetizing us.
Right.
So we start a gang. We start violence. And
we'll
then we get
paid.
the government to pay us not to do it anymore.
We'll probably just go to prison.
I thought it was a good idea.
I think that we would end up in the
Come on.
paddy wagon.
Let's try it.
Maybe not. Here's the thing. I actually... when you have anarchy, which is when the gangs are so bad that you have to pay them to stop killing people because law and order isn't working anymore, you have anarchy.
Punishment doesn't work. Punishment's not a good enough incentive.
Right.
Prison is not a good enough incentive.
When you have anarchy, then I actually can understand. This reminds me kind of like the Wild Wild West, right? Where the bad guys come into town and everybody gets tired of dying and they all gather their funds together and they pay the guys, please stop killing us. That's where we're at. It's got the semblance of having a government label on it. It's the government. It's a program. No, y'all people just a bunch of scared people out west. They can't control. You're ridiculous.
The scarier you look, I'm getting a tattoo across my forehead. Pay me or I will kill someone. Pay me to go to college, man.
Leah, you look like a pirate.
Pirate, gang member, same difference.
Leah is now an Indian.
Racist! You're such a racist! Man, everything's racist around here.
Stop
We're all
it.
racist.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so now we've got some people.
Gypsy Mom says you're a gypsy.
Actually felt like that looked better on than off. I should put it back on and just do the whole segment as a gang member. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay.
Everybody thinks so.
Right.
That was
right
really
on.
Now, hang on. Before we move on to regular news, because I want to get everybody
This
right
is
at the
real
beginning.
news, by the way. This is. I didn't make this up.
I know, I'm sorry. It's very real news. It's just sad. Here's the thing. This just shows...
Yo. Give me my monies.
Cal exit. They think they can do so well on their own. California, go ahead and try. You're going to end up paying all the criminals.
Do your thing. Yeah, they tried to do something.
I mean, they're already paying all the illegal immigrants to stay. Now we're paying the...
No. They have tons of slave labor, so I think it works out evenly for them.
Okay, maybe you're
right.
right.
Slave labor. Speaking of slave labor, actually, I'm not going to bring up the article. I'll just tell you that big tech firms like Google, Facebook, Trump is supposed to make a decision on the DACA, the Dreamer program, the deferred actions for young people coming over here as kids. Our heart goes out to people who were brought over illegally.
Yes.
However, the way that they act, you don't really want to help them, because a lot of them act like, I'm here to stay. Mm-hmm. They got these shirts that say, I'm not illegal, I'm undocumented. Just give me my documents, let me do my thing.
Right.
Like, I deserve to be here.
Right.
And, most of us who are watching, our families came here legally. Our grandfather came here legally from Sweden. On my mom's side, my grandparents came over. Well, great-great-grandparents came over.
Maybe they came illegally from Ireland or Germany.
Germany and Ireland.
I'm guessing they came legally.
So, it's a tricky thing. Our heart goes out to them. One of my favorite illegal immigrants is Cesar Millan. I love that dude. I'm glad he's here. Don't send him back to Mexico.
Whisperer. Hang on, so I want to get to some of the comments.
Go ahead.
All right, so poor Just V Garcia says, I wanted to watch you ladies, but I'm getting bad reception on my phone. Then you said Sacramento, which is where I live.
Oh,
so now I'm more annoyed I can't hear you. Love you guys. Kate L says, for how long are they going to pay? When it stops, then what? Just like generational welfare, what does this really say? That's a very, very good point. I think it's
more of a ransom. Just keep paying me and I'll just keep not killing people.
Right. Texas Cat said, let them go, and then next day invade and take over as an occupying force. Let's see. Gonzalez131 wants to know how much are they getting paid. I don't know that this article, it was in the millions, but it was for the programs. I'm not sure how much they're actually getting, handing them out. Kate says, basically, the taxpayers are being forced to pay for bad behavior.
Let's see if they tell us.
Is still in shock after her father, 49-year-old Ernie Cadena, was gunned down along with four others at Milford Park on Sunday, where a group had gathered to film a music video.
It was his only day off of work, and he just came to the wrong place at the wrong time.
He did not survive.
I truly miss him a lot.
5 people were shot in Meadowview on Sunday.
The homicide prompted Mayor Darrell Steinberg to push up a vote on the controversial Advanced Peace program by 2 weeks.
And let's get going on doing everything we can to save innocent lives.
The program targets key gang member agitators, offering them cash stipends to graduate school and overall remain peaceful. It already claimed success in dropping crime rates in Richmond and the Bay Area, but the city of Sacramento would still have to pay half the cost of the program, $1.5 million, out of the city's general fund.
In multiple places in the resolution, we say it's a 4-year contract. In the contract, we call it a 3-year contract. Those are key critical terms. They don't agree.
During the discussion leading up to the vote, City Councilwoman Angelique Ashby criticized the Advanced Peace's contract language, often butting heads with the mayor.
We would have to lack funding within the budget of the task force. That is exactly verbatim what it says.
That's not what it means, but go ahead.
That's not what it means, even though that's what it says.
But in the end, the council agreed to the program, voting 9-0 in favor.
Wow.
He's a good guy, trust me.
Pinch your face.
Still, some of Cadena's friends failed to see how the program will change things out on the street.
How's the vote going to change anything? It's up to the community.
It says that was one of the victim's friends.
It's just senseless.
Senseless. And I'm glad that they put that, I'm glad that they let that.
When you listen to the real people, the daughter of the victim, the friend of the victim, you think to yourself, they're really paying the guys that did this, essentially, to not do things like this anymore. I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. So let me go back to some of the comments.
Playing with my
Let's see. Sook says California should succeed, and then we'll take all the military away and see how they'll defend themselves. Stacy says, I guess if you use certain words, it makes YouTube look bad. They censor us.
Oh. Words.
Let me see. I know I'm like way behind on the comments here.
Okay, so while you're doing comments, I wanted to plug another little story.
How can I do comments?
While you're kind of reading through some, getting some going.
Go ahead.
This is Sheriff Clark, the black dude everybody likes, Trump supporter.
Yeah,
he has retired or left his sheriffing. And he says he has an announcement after Labor Day on joining the Trump administration.
Yeah, I think that's really exciting. We'll have to
put him in charge of the FBI.
Yeah, that's true. Why not?
Speaking of the FBI.
Okay, who wants to get to this?
Yeah.
You thought that Comey was like a dead story, that it wasn't, there was nothing more to be beaten out of it. There's more.
There is now new scrutiny for James Comey and Hillary Clinton. It's coming from Republican members in the House. The Judiciary Committee is in search for answers as to how Comey handled the Clinton email investigation. And that's not all they want. A bit earlier, I talked with the committee member, Jim Jordan, and he was pretty fired up about this. Watch. Seems to me you're painting a pretty broad brush. Loretta Lynch, James Comey, Hillary Clinton email.
Yeah,
what do you want?
Well, we want the facts. The American people want the facts. And we want to know why in the world would the Attorney General of the United States, Bill, tell the FBI Director of the United States, go tell the American people something that's not true. Remember, she said, go call it a matter, not an investigation. As I said in committee yesterday, last time I checked, he wasn't director of the Federal Bureau of Matters. He's the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigations. And so when you have the Justice Department intentionally, willfully misleading the American people, that warrants examination. That's why we're calling for a special counsel.
Okay, that's a big deal now. Let me get to that in a moment. Is this any part of a reaction with the president's been talking about? You know, he tweets about matters like these.
Well, no, this is about getting the truth. This is about what the constituents in the 4th District of Ohio are talking to me about. This is about just looking at the rule of law and equal treatment under the law. How in the world does someone like Secretary Clinton get away with something that no other person in the country get away with, right? There's not two standards. There's one standard. It's called equal treatment under the law. At least that's the way it's supposed to be. But what we found last year during the middle of this election is you had the subject of the investigation's husband meet with the Attorney General 3 days before the subject of the investigation is scheduled to be interviewed by the FBI. When does that ever happen anywhere else? So this is, all these facts come, we need to examine them all and find out, was there any collusion maybe between James Comey and Robert Mueller when he leaked a government memo through a friend to the New York Times, as he said, to create momentum for a special counsel? All those questions need to be answered.
Yeah,
special counsel is the right way to do it.
It's almost August. Why now?
Well, because James Comey just testified a few weeks back saying these things happen. He just told us that, you know what? The Attorney General of the United States told me to go out and say something to the American public that was not accurate. We think we need to get to the bottom of all that info.
So this is part of it, actually.
For those of you that don't know, when Comey drafted his letter exonerating pretty much Hillary Clinton, there were several key witnesses that hadn't even been interviewed yet. And that's the big story right now for
Clinton is herself. The big news today, and Donald Trump actually tweeted this out. Wow, this is Donald Trump's Twitter. Looks like James Comey exonerated Hillary Clinton long before the investigation was over, and so much more.
Rigged system.
And this is actually a real deal. I want to go ahead and play this clip here with Tucker Carlson and Tom Fitton from.
Fired FBI Director Jim Comey may have meddled in last year's election even more than we already knew. Republican Senators Chuck Grassley and Lindsey Graham say they have found proof that Comey was drafted.
So this is separate from the House Judiciary thing. I mean, there's some people doing some things here.
A statement exonerating Hillary Clinton of criminal wrongdoing in that email investigation.
So he drafted a statement exonerating Clinton before I think 17 witnesses have been interviewed, including Clinton herself. How did you and I? We get in front of the FBI.
Let's hope that never happens.
You know, like seriously, if an average citizen,
right,
they're going to exonerate us, write up a thing, setting a, you know,
they would me because they know I'm innocent.
Even before the FBI finished the investigation or even bothered to interview Hillary. Tom Fitton is the president of Judicial Watch, and he joins us tonight. Can this be true?
It's incredible. It shows the investigation truly was a sham. You know, Comey came out and said, well, he made the decision in July. Well, his deputies were interviewed by government officials, and they said, well, he began drafting the statement in early May, maybe even early as April, before they had interviewed 17 key witnesses, including Clinton. And remember, they gave immunity to all those witnesses, and everyone was outraged. And now we know why they gave immunity, because they weren't going to prosecute anybody. Why get in the way? Why let testimony or grand juries get in the way of this sham investigation?
That's another point, you guys. If you don't remember, there's so much to this story. Two of Clinton's aide, one of them being Cheryl Mills, I don't recall the exact name of the other girl, they were given immunity to testify about the server, the company that held this fake, false, you know, this pretend server here. Well, it's not a pretend server, but you know what I mean. The private server, whatever you want to call it.
Everyone immunity and just proceed.
A Potemkin investigation. I'm really fascinated by this part of the story, which I can hardly believe is true. There's evidence apparently that the FBI helped pay for the dossier on Donald Trump, the Russian dossier that was published ultimately in BuzzFeed. Can that be right?
That's right. They started paying, it looks like, the expert behind the dodgy dossier.
During the campaign.
Right, during the campaign.
The FBI helped pay for Oppo research on Hillary's opponent.
That's right. And the firm evidently...
We know that's true?
Well, we're trying to get answers about that, and we asked the FBI for documents about any payments they made to the author of the Trump-Russia dossier, and they came back to us and they said, we can't even confirm or deny whether any such documents exist. So I don't know who's running the FBI. Well, I do. But it's certainly not someone with the interests of the American people in terms of getting some transparency about the misconduct of the FBI during the Obama...
We just told you guys, I think we told you guys about the fact that a judge had to order the release of some Clinton aide emails because the FBI wouldn't release them. In another case, the FBI came out and said there are emails they don't want to release because of lack of public interest.
And that makes zero sense. They just made a unilateral decision. We believe that the public's not interested, which actually means the public should be interested.
Which they, yeah.
Administration, as they were working to really nail Trump through this really awkward and, let's put it this way, conspiratorial relationship with the authors of the Trump dossier.
Well, if that's true, you hear all this barking about fascism. Fascism's coming to America. You know, it's armed organizations like the FBI, for which I have respect. But if it turns out they're this corrupt, you know, this is stuff you should worry about.
This is a two-for story. You've got Comey protecting Hillary Clinton while targeting Trump at the same time. That's the intervention in the election we need to be investigating. And if I were President Trump, I'd order the DOJ to do an audit of what the FBI and Justice Department were up to last year, including reviewing the handling of the Clinton investigations, and yes, the handling of his investigations as well. He's a victim here, but the American people are too, because they were abusing the political process even more so than any Russians were.
Well, I don't even want to...
So what he is saying is that they have evidence that the FBI was paying the creep that created that P-Gate dossier against Trump, the FBI being Obama's FBI. We do know that they did unprecedented unmasking, meeting on the tarmac. There is so much collusion going on in the Clinton Obama.
Yeah, they were definitely together.
And so they have to create this white nationalist neo-Nazi crazyism, crazyism. I just coined a new term. Crazyism.
Okay.
Which leads, this is so cool because every story leads into the next story.
Okay, so you're going to go to the next one. Wait, before we
no,
do though,
let's not move on without comments on, because you know what, there is a public interest, and we want to hear what your public interest is.
Yes. Okay. Let's see. Secretarian says, I want to know why people can be subpoenaed and refuse to appear and testify. How can they do that?
Well, they can plead the fifth. They just go and just say, plead the fifth, plead the fifth.
All right. RCCGC says, these senators, reps, congressmen cannot serve more than 2 terms and out. When a restaurant doesn't have a lot of business, food goes bad, same as the government. Very true. Let's see. Stacy says, if she is smart, she will take a swift judgment by God now. It may just humble her to repentance before she rots in hell for all of her evil ways.
Nope. See, there's, you know, I'm a Christian. And I believe in the gospel, and I believe in the saving grace. But I do believe there is an unpardonable sin. And it's people who know who Jesus is. Knew him at some point. And they turn their back on him. And I believe that in aliens, and that Clinton has been body snatched by an alien, and she has no soul left anyways to be redeemed.
They're going to take your clip. That's going to become the new Leah Alex Jones clip that you just said, I believe in aliens, and Hillary Clinton has been body snatched. All right, let's see. Sharon Carter says the career federal workers are overwhelmingly Democrat, especially in the FBI. The Clinton machine has tentacles in every intelligence agency, I bet.
And you know what? Let's just call them what they are. Commies.
Yes.
I have decided that the commies are back with a vengeance. You know, we had the whole Cold War scare for a reason. And just to let you know, the commies never gave up. Okay, the commies never gave up. You had these German commies. Communism actually has its roots in Germany. Germany is like, I'm sorry if we have some German viewers, but y'all are known to produce some pretty wicked people.
Yeah.
Karl Marx.
Not all of the Germans. There's been some great ones.
I said that to produce.
They can.
So, Karl Marx was the guy. Him and another dude penned their little commie manifesto in 1848. And he's from Germany, dude. And the Russian Bolsheviks got a hold of it and decided to take it. And then you've got the Frankfurt School from Germany coming over. Yeah. They were Jews, right? Fleeing Germany because obviously this commie manifesto backfired.
As it will.
And they had to flee Germany from the Nazis, and when they got here, they set up a school of thought under this guy named Mark Cruz and all these crazy guys, and they get into the government, they get into the FBI, they get into the educational system. That's why we tell people to homeschool, because all of your books have been, even reading, writing, math, they dumb you down. You think you're going to get an education. Your education and my education that we received is not even 1/100th of what our founding fathers received in like 8 years of education.
Right.
They were going to college. Harvard meant they were Harvard students at the ages of 13, 14, and 15.
And they were often ambassadors for the United States in other countries at such a young age.
Yeah, John Quincy.
All right, so hang on. Let's wrap up a little bit more with the comments, and then we'll go back to your next story. Liberty 309 says, whenever they say that we cannot confirm or deny, it is a confirmation. I really liked that one a lot.
Sorry, I'm just stuck on the comments.
That's okay. Let's see. Adam Bigod says, investigations do no good. It lands in front of a crooked judge. We need to lock up the judges, all bar members.
And that's where, and that's another way where this this ideology, and I'm going to break it down for you because I think we have a decent amount of Christians who understand this. If you're an atheist, you might not understand this.
I think they can a little bit.
But I believe there's a battle of good and evil. I don't believe it comes down to communists or socialists or capitalists. I think it comes down to good versus evil.
Right.
And the reason everybody hates Russia right now is because Russia was communist at one point.
Right.
And actually, the hippie time saw the T-shirts of Che Guevara, so I can never say it right, and Fidel Castro, and lots of wonderful little articles about how, you know, socialism was pretty good and communism was pretty good in Russia at the time. But then they threw off communism and they allowed Christianity back.
Right.
And now they're the enemy. Of course. Because they have allowed Christianity to flourish and goodness. And it's good versus evil.
All right, so what do you got next?
Speaking of good versus evil, have you guys heard about this group called the Southern Poverty Law Center? I guess in the 60s they were big on civil rights and they did do some good. However, they have created a hate watch and a hate map. And they've really ramped it up this year. But
they make hate, the hate that they're talking about, they make it seem more like it is going to be a violence. Okay?
Yeah.
It's not just, oh, I hate, Hillary Clinton or I hate Barack Obama, where you're uttering a sentiment. But they've taken it, now we're like, okay, these are hate groups that are going to kill people and strike fear and violence into communities.
They incite hate, they incite fear, they incite anger.
Right.
This is the Southern Poverty Law Center. If you would think that the opposite of hate is love, they're not a very loving organization. And they label groups like the Family Research Council, who there for their intense stand against homosexuality and marriage between a man and a woman. Now, these are biblical principles.
Right.
And Christians have been espousing these principles for years. There was
thousands.
Yeah, and
2 at least.
There was something that trended on Twitter. It was called the Nashville Statement. I found it, and it was reaffirming the biblical view of marriage between a man and a woman and what that entails. It was not hateful. It was quite loving. But everybody came out and said Jesus would be against this. Jesus wouldn't say this stuff. I have to tell you,
those people don't know Jesus.
They have never read the Bible. They don't know who Jesus is, and Jesus is a loving, kind Savior, in my opinion. But he also calls things out. He loves you just the way you are. So we try to reach out to everybody who watches us. We try to be as inclusive as possible, but at the same time staying true to our beliefs. So if I have a friend who is a homosexual, I love that person. I love that you're watching our show, and I would hope that you would understand where we're coming from, because I'm not asking you to change. I'm not telling you to change. If you want to come to church service and you want to hear the gospel and you want to hear how you can be a better Christian or how God can set you free from certain things, yeah, but there are so many different things in life, and I'm going to talk about them all. But I have friends who listen to Guns N' Roses and Metallica, and to me, that is not necessarily life-affirming, uplifting music now. But I'm not going to go ragging on everybody for everything, right? But we have some stuff about, satanic music, and Matt Kansas Cowboy has done some stuff. So my point is...
Let's look at this map, though. I mean... There's like swastikas everywhere.
Right.
These are all Nazis. I don't know what some of these other... Is there like a thing at the bottom?
Yeah, so I actually went through this because I've been hearing a lot about
What's the music note? There's a music note. I mean, there are music notes.
There's hate... Okay, so here's the groups. There's the white nationalists, and they are symbolized by the fist.
We got a couple of them in Ohio.
They've got the radical traditional Catholicism. I guess they're anti-Jewish.
Those are like cups.
There's racist skinheads.
That's great.
Neo-Nazis. This is my favorite one, actually.
They're everywhere!
They use the Nazi symbol. However, this is the neo-Nazis, the National Socialist Movement. You don't hear a lot about this.
No.
But the neo-Nazis... that everybody says are there. They're commies.
They're communists.
They're communists.
Of course they are.
They're super socialist, guys. They are super left wing. So this is a left wing hate group. I was looking through some of their demands, right? Of course, they demand a union of all whites, blah 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 blah. But we demand the land and territory of the colonies to feed our people and settle the surplus population. He goes on to say,
all over.
In view of the enormous personal sacrifices of life and property demanded of a nation by war, they would demand the compensation of all war profits. We demand the nationalization of all businesses which have formed into corporations.
Wow.
Okay.
Demand.
I think some socialists would be happy about this, actually. But which is very funny to me. The prohibition of pro-Marxist unions, and their supplantation with the National Socialist Union trade. So, okay, they are commies, right? But they're like, no, it's just really weird. I can't even...
The creation of a livable wage, the restriction of Social Security and welfare to include drug testing for welfare recipients, that makes sense to me.
Immediate discontinuation of all taxes on all things of life necessities,
such as food, clothing, shelter, medicine, etc. Some of these things make sense, which is why I think that...
No, this one's funny. We demand the creation and maintenance of a healthy middle class, the immediate communalizing of big department stores and their lease at a cheap rate to small traders, and that the utmost consideration be shown to small trades in the placing of state municipal.
Okay, so like I said, some of these things make sense, and I think that's why the left is able to say, "Oh, look, they have a couple of things that maybe the right or conservatives agree on, so we're going to lump them all together." Dude, these people cray.
But they want all businesses. They want like all your Krogers to be nationalized.
Right.
They want everything to be nationalized.
Which leaves no room for even like the little, you know what I mean, corporation, so like the small businesses and stuff.
What they're saying is that they want a communist communal living, but they want to call themselves National Socialists. So anyways, my point is this one's my favorite because this is the neo-Nazi group that everybody is talking about, the evil, but they're socialists. They're more than socialists. So I want to go back to all, and the point, why I'm bringing this, is that intermixed with all these crazy people are churches. If you have anti-Muslim sentiments, anything that would be like the Act for America, and this is Brigitte's group. She's a Christian who talks about Muslims, and she's labeled as a hate group. There's a ex-radical Muslim on the LBC. You see him all the time. What's his name? Forget his name. And
somebody here can tell us in the comments.
You know, who's the guy? He's on the weekends on the LBC. He's suing them because they've labeled him a hate group. And he's suing alongside a Christian church in Florida who's been labeled as a hate group because anybody who stands that says homosexuality is sinful, you're labeled First Baptist Church. First Baptist Church.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's him. Campus Ministry USA is a hate group. So anyways, I wanted to bring this map up for you, and then I wanted to play, sorry, that's us. Wanted to play the video. I'm going to have to bring it up.
That's right, I'll go comments. Let's see. Michael Thomas says, notice every hate group in America throughout our history, from KKK to Antifa, was all created by Democrats.
Yeah.
Valid.
Thank you.
Very good points.
Okay, so let's listen to Tucker, because if you guys watch Tucker, I love Tucker. They do.
At least you watch him on our show.
By far the only person
on MSM that has a half a brain.
He's got a whole brain.
He does.
So he is constantly bringing forth people who are being sued by the Southern Poverty Law Center. He says he goes there every day to see what kind of crud and hate they're coming up with.
Oh my gosh.
All right. And the news is out that they have offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands, like $300 million. What are they doing over there? And they've only spent $61,000 on litigation. They were formed as the Southern Poverty Law Center to bring lawsuits against racism and stuff. If they really cared, wouldn't they be like suing all these neo-Nazis? I have an article, 12 reasons that the SPLC is a fraud, and one of them.
Well, they're not doing anything. If they're not spending any money, do you all know? I don't need to say do you all know. When you put forth a law case, I mean, we are talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. They should be spending millions of dollars.
Most of the neo-Nazis.
That 61 isn't even going to cover one case.
61,000, right? Most of those neo-Nazis and the white national things, if you try to look them up, they don't exist. There's no phone numbers. There's no list. They're just there. They're not even there. You know, as Alex Jones was pointing out, the KKK was disbanded a long time ago. They don't really even exist.
Right. I saw that.
Okay, so let's go there.
The Southern Poverty Law Center, which is focused on neither the South nor poverty nor the law, weirdly enough, aspires to be America's supreme arbiter of...
I'm sorry, I also need to point out, if you haven't heard of it, people cite the Southern Poverty Law Center
Right.
and this list all the time.
Right.
And actually, our government used to use their lists. And I think the FBI stopped using their list, but other people quote them like all over the mainstream media. Well, the Southern Poverty Law Center says they're a hate group. The Southern Poverty Law Center says this, like it's some sort of authority.
Is and what is not a hate group. Plenty in the media have been happy to treat them that way, despite ample evidence the group has an overriding political agenda, an agenda that distorts all it does and makes it deeply dishonest. Well, now documents obtained by the Washington Free Beacon reportedly show that the SPLC, which is officially based in Alabama, has been offshoring millions of dollars in assets to accounts located in the Cayman Islands, because that sounds legitimate. Joe Shopstall is the writer of the Free Beacon who broke the story and joins us tonight. Joe, why are they sending money to the Caymans?
I cannot answer that question. I tried to get it from them, but the accountant hung up on me. They did not respond to numerous requests for comments. We can't really speculate on that.
Wait, their accountant hung up on you and you asked
the person who prepared the forms. I called and I was like, I'm looking for the foreign forms.
Yeah.
And I thought you'd think the accountant, because most accountants, even Clinton's accountants, would hand over forms. She just said, I don't comment on clients, and hung up the phone.
What are the possible reasons you would, if you're the SPLC and you're basically America's moral judge, okay? Why would you be offshoring money to the Cayman Islands? Is there a good reason to do that?
That I cannot answer that question.
Because it's already a nonprofit, correct?
It's already a nonprofit, exactly. So the reasoning behind it, I couldn't speculate on, but it's unusual. A lot of people that I spoke to said it was very unusual that they were sending millions of dollars to the Cayman Islands. They have interest in the British Virgin Islands as well as Bermuda, but we could only find a segment, the 2014 numbers, that showed the 5 million. So there's other segments, like they have the British Virgin Islands, Bermuda. We don't know the amounts on there. They also have ownership in foreign corporations, but each corporation that they have ownership in, they don't meet the threshold of ownership to report it on a form, a tax form.
It's a little confusing when you look at these numbers. $328 million in net assets.
Yeah.
Why would the Southern Poverty Law Center amass more than $250 million?
They make all their money. It's from the hate industry. What they do is, in the 1970s, they served a legitimate purpose. They won a lot of landmark civil lawsuits for civil rights, and flash forward to today, you have them. They swing far left. They're known for the hate map, as you know, which contains conservative groups, mainstream conservative groups, along with actual racists like the KKK. And this turned into a windfall for them. Their leadership, the top people in management, they average probably around $300,000 a pay.
$328 million?
Their leadership averages about $300,000. This is the same thing with Planned Parenthood. They make so much money in the top leadership, like I think
it's ungodly, and that's one of those terms that gets loosely used, like literally, it's an ungodly amount of money.
The amount of abortions that Planned Parenthood has to do to pay one person's like $250,000 or salary, I think
there is massive blood on these hands.
I mean, if you really care about making America a better place, why wouldn't you give that money to the dispossessed or marginalized communities of color, the ones they're always talking about?
Another great question. Okay. They only spent $61,000 in litigation as well, being a law center.
Yeah, it's a totally fake organization. Thanks for your reporting on that.
Thank you.
Okay, so that was just a little bit. Then I wanted to bring up, I don't know if I have them up.
But to recap, the reason that you brought that segment up is to delegitimize this corporation that, like Tucker started out by saying, they really kind of have become some sort of moral judge in our country. Like you were saying, people are always quoting this group as they can say, oh, it's a hate group. And it's like, oh, look, it's totally a hate group. The SPLC says that it is. And it doesn't make any sense. So we need to lay a foundation for why it's illegitimate.
Right, exactly. So, number one, it's a big money smear machine. Like, your name gets put on there, it's smeared.
And so there's probably a lot of backdoor money funding that goes to pay to have somebody's name put on this list.
Its two largest expenses are the propaganda operations, creating its annual list of haters and extremists, and running a big effort that pushes tolerance education through more than 400,000 public school teachers. And the single biggest effort undertaken by the SPLC is fundraising. That's the same thing with Planned Parenthood. They like send people to like the Cayman Islands or something like that for their big annual meetings. $10 million of direct fundraising expenses. In fundraising. Expenses for fundraising.
So first of all, you have to, everybody knows you got to spend money to make money. You got to spend money to raise money. But if you're spending that kind of money to raise money, then there's stuff going on under the table.
That's how they write things off. Exactly. You and I know, we run a business, you write off expenses, right?
Legitimate ones.
Legitimate ones. These people, they probably have...
Go back to where it had said that one of the biggest expenses, one of their two biggest expenses was compiling their list of hate groups. How does that take a lot of money?
Right.
Am I crazy or what? I mean, should that take a lot of money?
So there's a video where the Family Research headquarters, they caught a gunman who was going to go and commit mass murder. And he says he went on this map and saw, and he just picked a place to go shooting. They use emotion-laden images to spread innuendo. The SPLC, over the years, numerous investigators have pointed out that most of the scary KKK and Nazi militia groups that they use are actually ghost entities with no employees, no address, hardly any followers, and little or no footprint. But they want you to be afraid of them.
Right.
All right? And then I told you the FBI stopped using them. So... what's really crazy about this is that they are sucking up money from people, and they actually use it in political. So this whole idea of the whole KKK, there's money behind this neo-Nazi thing going on. There's a push here, and this is going to lead us into the segment on Antifa, because our government finally has labeled them a terrorist organization.
And now that has happened, you'll notice that the narrative has shifted, where
suddenly the Washington Post is
everybody's calling out saying that they're bad, but they are disassociating themselves
from
the group
they
that
created.
Exactly. And I'm listening to these narratives, and I'm sitting there going, hang on. Because y'all just defended them like a week ago.
They did more than defend them.
I mean, they were coming out with this story where, you know what? Violence is the way to go. Sometimes you have to take these people down. Yeah.
It's a good thing to beat up a Nazi.
Crazy.
Nancy Pelosi encouraged them to go and beat up the KKK and the Nazis at the prayer rally.
Right. Well, nobody listens to Crazy Nancy, but they do actually. It's weird.
But they did. They all went. The Mayor Lee, he said, and so... I was talking to Patriot Gallery, and she was saying they created this Antifa group, and then they got a little out of hand. And then they couldn't control them. Because I actually...
like Frankenstein.
I actually watched a video of a reasonable Antifa member. Okay? He said he's been Antifa
for a long time. Yeah, I saw that video.
8 or 9 years.
Right, and he's like, those people are not us. They've hijacked our group.
He said, we're anarchists, we're against capitalism, we're against the government in all forms. And he sat down and was able to have a conversation with Trump supporters. So I actually apologize to you, traditional anarchists, because I think you can be reasoned with and
hang on, wait.
To. What?
Our volume the dog ate the mic. Is the sound back?
We're back.
Hang on. Well, we didn't do anything.
Check. It's fine now.
Yeah, try refreshing your page. Okay,
sorry.
Strange. That's really weird.
Okay, so anyways, it's hilarious to be able to sit down with the traditional anarchists and have conversations with them, but the paid commies that have been...
And that just lets you know that there is, kind of odd ways of thinking, and then there's just irrational craziness.
Right.
And that's what you see when you have that kind of violence. It is not normal behavior. You can be normal and have a weird way of thinking and still act normal, but when you start throwing feces-filled balloons and urine-filled water balloons and things like that, spraying people in the eyes with mace, inches away from their face, this is, unless they're attacking you with a gun... Not a normal person, that's normal does not do that.
So I'm going to stick with us, and I'm going to show you a video today. Alex Jones, He interviewed one of the guys who drove 6 hours to the prayer rally. He said, I drove 6 hours. I was going to go ahead and go. Mm-hmm. And he got sprayed, poor bald guy, in the back of the head and in the ear. He said it stung so bad that he was like clutching onto the seatbelt on the way home because he like stayed in the shower for like an hour. And the police, like, they didn't even want to help them. It was like the Berkeley police.
Hang on, I want to go to the comments really quickly before we move on. Somebody had said, Albert said, did you read about Diamond and Silk? I'm not sure what you're referring to. I know that their videos have been demonetized. I'm not sure what else is there. Liberty309 says, did you see the Morning Joe clip calling out the snowflakes in Antifa? We actually covered that on our last live show, I think 2 days ago on Wednesday. So you can go back and see that. Let me see. And then the volume went down. Sorry, guys. So Antifa is classified as domestic terrorists thanks to the petition circulated online and signed by so many thousands of Americans. And that's very true. That petition went around.
Right.
And that is, I think that's why it actually got labeled as a terrorist group.
I think that your voice and my voice, we have, this is so exciting, you guys. We have so much power.
We have the power!
We are literally the people taking back our government.
Y'all know it
the
feels
whole
good.
narrative. You guys, I get goosebumps. We're literally taking back the government. And Alex Jones had Stephen Molyneux on, and he goes, how come, like, I'll say something, and you're on the same wavelength, and Paul Joseph Watson's on the same wavelength, and everybody in like this
that was a good
the
interview.
libertarian conservative type, even the lefty liberals that are more hippietarians. I'm gonna start calling them the hippietarians.
We've got the name. They're not progressives, right? They're not liberals. They're hippietarians.
So when I say the left, don't be offended. I consider the thinking left to be the hippietarians.
I love it.
I'm totally.
Somebody say classical liberals. I can't. Hippietarians is way better.
Hippietarians is
liberals.
so much cooler, right? They're the people who like really support free speech no matter what it is.
I like it.
This guy who got sprayed in the head, he said when he was walking through town, there were some Berkeley people that walked up to him. You could probably tell they were liberals, but they said, "Be cool, be safe, be civil."
Right.
Those are the hippietarians.
Yep. Okay, so hang on though, because I know you want to go to all these things, but
love this.
The chat is pretty good today, and I want to cover. Britt Baza had asked something earlier about the wall, and I can't remember what it was. Repost that question because I want to get back to that. A lot of people want to know about the Utah, you guys already saw it. So the Utah nurse that got dragged out of the hospital. We're not going to show the video because you all have seen it, but for those of you that don't know about it, you can search it. Somebody had come in and a police officer was telling the nurse, I need to do a blood draw. Apparently they can have these police officers that will they're trained phlebotomists and they can do blood draws. And the nurse said, you don't have a warrant. And so I can't allow you to, and the person was unconscious. They can't give permission. All right. They haven't been convicted of any kind of criminal case. And so from higher up, the guy's boss, the lieutenant or whatever, told him to arrest her. And she actually went to the authorities in the hospital and she's, listen, this is our policy. We cannot allow you to, draw the blood.
So she's in the hospital. She gets like manhandled. I heard later she actually didn't get taken to a precinct. They got taken care of. But he manhandled her, tried to cuff her. I think he cuffed her, and craziness. Yeah.
So that's what we have. Corruption is everywhere. Right. So I understand in part where, BLM says, oh, cops are bad or whatever. It's not all cops are bad. Not all Black Lives Matter people are bad. You guys understand this, but the outer fringe people, the mainstream media, they can't differentiate between the two. You're going to have corruption at every level, everywhere.
Okay, so I want to get back. I have a list of tweets that I want to get to, and they're a little bit haphazard. So we have main subjects that we're talking about today. We're going to get to some Harvey pictures and posts and some looting going on there. We're covering the Southern Poverty Law Center today. We're covering Clinton and Comey and that new revelation there with the fact that he had exonerated her before ever interviewing her. So if you guys haven't heard of Ayana Hirsi Ali, she is amazing. I love this woman. Amazing. She is actually kind of an atheist. I think she might be borderline going back to being a Muslim. I don't know. But she is a victim of female genital mutilation, and she talks about radical Islamic terror. She talks about Islam. She talks about how she was raised. She talks about how Islam can't be a part of your government. You can't have Sharia law.
It's not, well, and I think she talks about it not really being a religion of peace,
right,
because of the things that they do, like female genital mutilation.
So she has been labeled by the Southern Poverty Law Center as a hate person. Now, when a victim is labeled a hater, that's when we have problems, right? So she posted out this article that from the New York Times. Why is the Southern Poverty Law Center targeting liberals? Because when you start to shoot your machine gun everywhere, you're going to hit your own kind, your own people. Since the violence in Charlottesville, the Southern Poverty Law Center has done what? Hit the jackpot. Okay? Apple pledged $1 million. JP Morgan and Chase, $500,000. And George Clooney and his wife, who is also Muslim, I believe, another $1 million. And it just boggles my mind. Everybody's cool about this. Poor Matt Damon came out and the Breitbart wrote about him today. I didn't know that there were so many racists in this country. I was living in a bubble and so naive.
Stop it.
But after Charlottesville, I realized that our country is way more racist than I realized.
Stop it.
And I would like for you to explain to our viewers what we were talking about the liberal elites and black people being in their inner circles and black people being in our neighborhood, the difference.
What do you mean? I don't remember.
You don't remember?
I really am not following where you're going with
Remember,
this.
we were driving down the street. We have black people that live down our street.
Yes. And
we interact with them on a normal day-to-day level.
Oh, okay. I know where you're going with this. Yeah. So here's the thing. When you and I interact with people from all races all of the time, but we're just going to focus on black people right now because this is the topic at hand. It's normal.
Well, it could be Hispanics, because we have Hispanics that live around here, too.
It's a completely normal interaction, okay? But when the elites get around the black people, they're very patronizing, very condescending. Like, oh, yes, you're my black friend, and these are the black people. And it's very...
The reason being is because the elites that live on the coasts are
racist.
Your white nationalist racists who's... their economy, like in New York City, right? Mm-hmm. They live in a bubble where other, maybe Mexicans or black people, there's a few of them, but the Mexicans and black people and the Asians that they see are inner city.
Yeah.
And oppressed.
Right.
And poor.
Yeah.
So they are working so hard to lift them up. They're the little people.
So it's still a form of racism.
But
a big one.
But when we interact...
It's like regular person to person.
Right, exactly. Like that. Did I show her interview with Paul Joseph Watson or not? I don't think I did. Paul Joseph Watson interviewed this beautiful black woman. I mean, she's just amazing, and she was red pilled 2 years ago because somebody had it's a long story, but anyway, she was red pilled 2 years ago, and she's a Trump supporter and everything. She's awesome. But she says, I woke up today, and she said something about, like, a white girl gave me a towel at the gym. You know, a white girl served me coffee at Starbucks or something like that, and a black girl did this, and this was life for me.
Yeah.
This is just life. So what I'm trying to say is, we... in the middle class, in like this normal neighborhood type area, we just interact with all people on a regular basis.
Right.
But when you get to the elites, the MSNBC people, the politicians, you don't see diversity there. And they don't interact with the interactions that they have with people that aren't like them, the different colors and the different races, or when they're trash men or they're nannies. Or the people who work at the restaurants.
It's exactly what you see in the movies. It's exactly that way.
So that is what they're accusing all of America as.
And you know what? We're not that way.
It's them. They're the racists.
KRS2 says, are they nationalists, though? I'd say racist globalists more accurately describes them. I like that a lot.
Well, they're personalists like think about themselves pretty much all the time.
Right. Worth a Look says, bringing race into everything is the new craze. No joke. Saying anything on a page about any subject, someone brings it back to race. Very true. It's awful. All right.
Okay, so this was the article that Ayanna had posted, and she's like, now they're coming after her, and it's a crazy thing. It's a crazy thing.
Okay, so Britt Baza came back with the question, and I remember now. Thank you. Trump. What does Trump mean? And remember, Britt Baza obviously is from the UK. When he says that the government will shut down if the wall does not get built.
Well, the only thing I can really assume is that, you know, every year we have to have a budget, and
well, that's exactly what it is.
A few years back, Obama shut down the national park system,
right?
Because they didn't have a budget, and everybody was. That was like the first moment where people were trying to do something for the country, and there was the truckers' ride to D.C.
and there were the biker rides and stuff like that. So here's what it boils down to. I don't know if you. I'm sure you did, actually. But for those of you that may not have seen, we've covered some Trump speeches, and especially recently, he is getting his fuse for everything that he's trying to put forth in Congress and the Senate being blocked. You know, he's trying to get rid of the filibuster. His fuse is about this short. He has had it up to here with every measure that he is trying to take as the President of the United States.
He's like, I'm Republican, you guys ran on everything that I'm putting forth, and then I bring it forth and you don't vote for it?
So what does a government shutdown mean? Like Leah mentioned, the national park system, it was embarrassing. You couldn't even get to the World War II memorials in D.C. They'll shut down the park systems, anything that's kind of the national...
Some federal employees won't go to work. I mean, it's
not that big of a deal.
It's kind of silly.
It's kind of a joke.
Yeah.
To have a government shut down because they don't really save any money by doing this. It's more of kind of a threat. And actually, I would tell you exactly what it is. It's fear-mongering to the American people.
It's like when in America, if you don't pass the levy... They take away the buses.
So how does this translate to Trump? Because we're saying it kind of as a bad thing. It's just kind of a tool that he has in his toolbox that he can use, and he's threatening because the constituents then raise Cain to the senators and the congressmen when we have a government shutdown. So it's kind of a bargaining tool, right. Essentially. If you guys don't do this, then we'll shut down the government. But it doesn't actually. You know what I mean? The government employees just get some time off.
Okay, so like I said, we're not necessarily jumping around, but I don't have everything that I have for you all in one spot. So we're going to kind of hit all these different things over and over again, which is great because we have people coming and going. So the ramifications of the Southern Poverty Law Center hate list has caused some groups or places like PayPal for at least a day or two to shut down the accessibility of certain groups like Jihad Watch and Pamela Geller, I believe, were shut down by PayPal. Yeah. And then they had to fight to get it back. So I'm gonna play this. They eventually got it back.
With Silicon Valley and right-leaning groups.
Well, it's often been noted that the Southern Poverty Law Center has this hate group list that contains many legitimate groups and is trying to defame those groups by lumping them in with groups like the Ku Klux Klan and the neo-Nazis. And Jihad Watch is one of them, along with many other important organizations whose only real wrongdoing is dissenting from the Southern Poverty Law Center's hard left line. But Charlottesville is being used by the left as its Reichstag fire moment, its opportunity to shut down all dissent. And so a leftist journalist, Lauren Kirchner from ProPublica, wrote a piece about how Jihad Watch uses PayPal to receive donations and other platforms. And within hours of the appearance of this piece in ProPublica, we were shut down by PayPal.
All right. Well, you have since been restored, so you can get donations that way. Go.
So I don't have the article up, but there was another church. They were on a different platform. I think it was associated with Wells Fargo, and they were just on there because they were Catholic ministry, affirming, marriages between a man and a woman. Nothing crazy there. And their platform to receive donations was taken away, and their donors were like, "Why are you on a hate list? Are you a hater?"
Right. And that's exactly, it's not, when they shut these people down, a lot of times it's not just that they can't receive funding, because I don't think that the powers that be really care if these people are getting the donations or not. It's like you were talking to me the other day about the young lady on Twitter who had tried to start a nonprofit group to help young kids. And
that was the girl I'm talking about with Paul Joseph Watson.
Right. And her platform, her PayPal was taken away. But even more than that, she was linked to pedophilia. Right. And all of a sudden, all of her big backers and supporters and donors, this wasn't even linked to the PayPal part, pulled out because of the association, and they were afraid. So all they have to do is do it one time, and then your donors will start to question. And then it's not that you're not receiving money anymore, but your entire backing and supporting for your group, period, is now diminished.
So the FBI, this is a clip. This is a little 18-second clip. The FBI says, how did you, this building, this organization, this is when this man targeted the Family Research Council. Family Research.
So how did you, this building, this organization, how did you find it? Or did you look up online, or how did you know what
the Southern Poverty Law lists anti-gay groups, like down online.
Okay.
A little bit of research on the website and stuff like that.
Okay.
That sounds like set up by the FBI, though, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Somebody said, make sure you girls aren't on that list. We're not big enough for that yet. We don't have an organization. But I'm sure we're on other lists. Let's see. Go to their site. Look at the hate. I just got a text now. I can't read what I was saying. Sorry. Look at the hate group list and look at the board of directors. That's really interesting. That's a good idea. Antitrust laws need to be enforced against monopolies like PayPal, etc. Way too much power given to some of these platforms. Need more competition. I could not agree with you more. And we've had that discussion about the antitrust laws, even with YouTube. Right. You know, because the phone company has antitrust laws and things like that. So that's a discussion that has to happen. We are at that point where Mark Zuckerberg has even said, I want to take Facebook public. And in that sense, then you would need those kinds of antitrust laws.
We're going to go to Harvey. We're going to talk a little more about the Antifa in a minute. But back to, because I told you, this is going to be our jumping around episode. We're going back to Comey in a minute because this particular video I found today, and it just fits right in really well, where I think his name is Ratcliffe. He knew Comey was going to exonerate Clinton, and listen to this.
And I think that's important. At this point, based on everything, do you think that any laws were broken by Hillary Clinton or her lawyers?
Do I think that any laws were broken? Yeah. I don't think there's evidence to establish that.
Okay. Well, I think you're making my point when you say there's no evidence to establish that. Maybe not in the way she handled classified information, but with respect to obstruction of justice. And you've got a pen here. I just want to make sure the record's clear about the evidence that you didn't have, that you can't use to prove. So this comes from the FBI's own report. It says that the FBI didn't have the Clintons' personal Apple server used for Hillary Clinton work emails. That was never located, so the FBI could never examine it. An Apple MacBook laptop and thumb drive that contained Hillary Clinton's email archives was lost, so the FBI never examined that. 2 BlackBerry devices, provided the FBI didn't have SIM cards or SD data cards. 13 Hillary Clinton personal mobile devices were lost, discarded, or destroyed with a hammer, so the FBI clearly didn't examine those. Various server backups were deleted over time, so the FBI didn't examine that. After the State Department and my colleague Mr. Gowdy here notified Ms. Clinton that her records would be sought by the Benghazi Committee, copies of her emails on the laptops of both of her lawyers, Cheryl Mills and Harold Mills, and Heather Samuelson, were wiped clean with bleach bits, so the FBI didn't review that. After those emails were subpoenaed, Hillary Clinton's email archive was also permanently deleted from the Platte River Network with bleach bit, so the FBI didn't review that. And also after the subpoena, backups of the Platte River server were manually deleted. Now, Director, hopefully that list is substantially accurate because it comes from your own documents. My question to you is this. Any one of those in that very, very long list, to me, says obstruction of justice. Collectively, they scream obstruction of justice. And to ignore them, I think, really allows not just reasonable prosecutors, but reasonable people to believe that maybe the decision on this was made a long time ago, not to prosecute.
Wow. So he knew from the this guy knew This was September of last year when they were doing this thing with James Comey. James Comey knew he had one job. Clinton cannot be indicted for any criminal action at all.
This is the biggest duh
because
to me. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Because then she couldn't be president.
Of course.
And she had to be president.
Of course.
So it didn't matter.
And Comey's sitting there the entire time, and he knows.
It doesn't bother him.
And not at all. Not in the least.
Because he knows what he's doing.
Right.
He knows that he was falling. He's like, I think he's sitting at home like, I can't believe I'm still alive. I can't believe I'm still here. I can't believe that I am still here today.
And not behind bars.
Being fired was he knew he'd be fired eventually.
Right.
But seriously, he said any one of those things. The Blackberries, here's my Blackberry, but no SIM card in it.
Right. But collectively, they all scream obstruction of justice. So what he was saying is we don't have any evidence that says there was obstruction of justice, but when you look at the fact that all of the evidence was obstructed, then it is obstruction of justice.
So after this, they asked to see the emails. They bleach bitted them afterwards, and that's okay.
Secretarian 1955 says, every time I hear this list, I want to scream at them for not bringing charges against her. I think we are all in the same boat with you there.
Okay, so we're going to go back to Antifa, and I have to tell you that right now, as Caitlin Johnstone had pointed out, when Nancy Pelosi and Paul Ryan and the Washington Post calls out the Antifa, there's something really sneaky going on around.
Sneaky business.
But at the same time, we have to still call out Antifa for who they are and what they've done, and know that these people are not fringe. They are Clinton.
I think
they are
Pelosi. Made the point, I don't know if it was on Alex Jones or whatever, but when these kinds of groups, this is what evil people do. They get a lot of nobodies to come together to do something for them.
Right.
But you have to realize that when you are that nobody, you're going to be the first to be cut loose.
Exactly.
And that is what has happened with Antifa.
So this whole prayer rally thing is embarrassing to the left because it's really coming out, and they have to. I haven't heard any apologies.
No
apologies for calling them.
They're going to try to
racist.
sweep it under the
They're
rug.
just sweeping. They just have to blame the Antifa
for
violence, but they're not going to apologize
for labeling pretty much half of the country as Nazi racists.
So here is another. I think we've shown you 2 or 3 guys from the prayer rally. Here's another black guy from the prayer rally that was shut down because of Antifa.
Congresswoman, I just heard yesterday, Barbara Lee, 13th District, Alameda County, say once again that it was a neo-Nazi rally. When we, it's so frustrating that when we misdirect, the true issue of issues that we can solve, and I'm happy that everyone came out to protest. They're having a good time in San Francisco right now, but nothing that was going to be said on the stage today was anything close to being hateful, close to being hate speech. There were no neo-Nazis showing up. I'm black myself. I consider myself like a liberal, left-leaning centrist. And there was a lot of things that I really wanted to get out and talk about oppression and talk about, hate, hatred, in our community and as abroad. And I didn't get that opportunity because the mayor, Nancy Pelosi, spent so much time, putting out this misinformation. And even when they were told otherwise, they doubled down.
Right.
Hey, Reinaldo, don't you think it's a bigger issue that the congressman, that Nancy Pelosi was asking? Don't you think it's a bigger issue that Nancy Pelosi was saying about the rally we're supposed to have? She said, you guys cannot cry wolf in a crowded theater. Don't you think that's a bigger issue that we actually have senile people running in the government today?
She said you can't cry. We talk about hate speech. She said you have to shut down speech. Is what she's saying.
Right.
Because you can't cry wolf in a crowded theater, and the saying is you can't cry fire.
Absolutely. I don't even. Again, I don't see where that comes from. Crying wolf,
crying wolf in a crowded theater.
Yeah, that wasn't the case. Yes, sir.
We're not in a vacuum here. Charlottesville is fresh on a lot of people's minds.
Absolutely.
And so then you guys went forward with this event after Charlottesville. You can imagine people who don't even know the issues were anxious.
Actually, this event was scheduled before Charlottesville.
Yes, I said you went forward.
Way before Charlottesville. The only reason why,
you went forward, right?
no, we had the schedule before Charlottesville. We're going to continue. We're going to continue because we have nothing to do with Charlottesville. White supremacists are not here. Why are white supremacists not here? Why do they got? What does that have to do with us?
Because it's timing. It's in context.
What about liberals going forward?
But what does it have to do with us? It has nothing to.
What they're saying, what the question is
timing, it's context, and they're
you
saying
should have shut down your rally. You know what I mean? Yeah, this is
They're telling
it's the
two black
timing.
guys.
That one of them was claiming he's like a centrist, like a liberal leaning centrist, and I'm just like, whoever that was, I'm like, oh my gosh, they have an agenda.
Why were you continuing with your? And actually, they did shut it down. They decided to hold a press conference instead.
Right.
And this goes into another story where, like Millie Weaver was saying, we caught on to the fact that after Charlottesville, they were using us to bring out their little Antifa army to create these little battles and these little wars.
Right.
But fortunately, after Charlottesville, there was no more violence at all that could be happening on the right. And I do want to let people know, again, one more time, neo-Nazis are socialists from the left.
Right.
We just
They're
read
communists.
their little manifesto.
Right. Manufascisto. That's good.
Okay.
You just made that up. I like that. All right, let's go back to the comments.
I'm going to try to find, I don't know if I have it up or not. Let's see.
Stacy says, when a people refuse and, that's a typo, something to be separate and hate each other, God will force you to unite. The unity from the storm is clear. God was in this. And I absolutely agree with that. To go to Hurricane Harvey, there is the HARP issue that is highly possible, could be probable. For those of you that don't know what that is, I think it's, look it up. Look up the HARP thing. It's cloud seeding, geoengineering. I can't remember what the acronym exactly stands for. No. HAARP. AA. HAAA. There you go. Somebody's going to type it.
High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program.
Now, apparently this program was a government program that they say was scrapped. I don't agree that it was scrapped. And I've watched a lot of footage and evidence of where you can kind of see the cloud seeding or something, whatever it was, happening days even in advance. And how it accelerated from a tropical storm to a Cat 4 like that. And you see the eye develop and stuff like that. So it's possible that it was geoengineering. It's possible that it was cloud seeding. It's possible that it was chemtrails.
It's possible that it was really just a hurricane because we've been having hurricanes for years.
So I'm not going to, Leah and I here at Resistance Chicks, we're not going to go one way or the other on that. But I am going to say, regardless, what Stacy just said about God using this to unite the people, to prove to the entire country. I was at the gym with my uncle today, and they've got the big, TV screens up there, and I was thrilled that the entire time I was watching CNN, they were covering the goodwill of the people through Hurricane Harvey. All right, I'm not saying that obviously changes CNN overnight, but they have been forced. The mainstream media has been forced because Harvey right now is where the news is, and all of the camaraderie and the good heartedness coming out of regular Americans.
We haven't, yes, the good-hearted Americans. We haven't showed them the CNN shorts to the pants thing.
We didn't.
No, we haven't done a video since I showed you that.
Can we call it the shorts to the pants thing?
CNN,
we're going to take it to the short to the pants thing. It's going to be a real cool thing. So sit by with me. Okay, no, it's so cool. It's hilarious. They did stage fake news. Now, whether they actually rescue this guy, go ahead and pull it up.
Well, I actually have this up right now. Okay, well,
you can shrink it out.
Okay,
just pull another tab. CNN saved a guy in a white truck, but the way that it cuts in, it's like they redid the intro at the very least. But after you watch it, you too will be questioning whether this guy was bought and paid by CNN, because they don't actually show him being rescued out of the truck. You'll have to just see it because it's absolutely ridiculous.
Let me bring it up here. This was pretty cool actually. I'm just going to show you myself.
Did you see the video?
Get out, dude!
Of the rednecks rescuing the army truck. No, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, they had the giant
really loud.
redneck
People
machines
down
with the
the volume.
tires. Yeah, I turned. Okay, so we're gonna set the scene for you. I have to show you guys a couple times because we've watched this no less than like 20 times.
Right.
You got the CNN guy with the red jacket. Okay, now follow.
Look at this. Get out, dude!
Look at this. First reaction could be normal, but when you put it all together, reaction is a little bit like, you're going to look, ooh, oh!
You got a power cord? You got a rope? Give me.
There's a cut there. Did you see? The volume went out. And then he's running. Now, wait, go back. Okay, move your head. That's a leg. Oh, okay, nope, go back. Shorts. Nope, they're shorts, there they are. And a leg. Then for some reason, the cameraman is right here. He can't get around that sign.
And for some reason, the camera was stationary on the truck. And then when the guy started running, the camera followed him running. Are there a couple cameramen? No.
But why does it get stuck behind the cameraman doesn't see that he could get out of the handicap thing to get around. This is the worst cameraman in the history of cameramen.
We're going to go over this again, but you have to listen. There's still footprints in
the
noise.
You'll hear shoo, 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 when he's not moving anymore. Listen.
Hold on,
Did you see it? Did you hear it?
I'm going to play that again. We're going to hear it again. Running, and then he's just not running anymore.
Hold on, I'm trying to get you a rope.
But he's
the one with the mic.
I'm trying to get you a rope. You can hear the footprints and him but he's standing there.
Right. Okay, keep going.
It cut there. I'm going to show you the cut itself. Because I stopped it. Ready? Okay. They cut.
All right, buddy, come on, get up out of that water. No, don't go backwards. You all right?
Now,
he
has his mic in his hand still.
And we got a call?
We went over this. I found the mic myself. No one else did.
He still has the mic.
Just pull the fellow out.
Okay, he has this microphone. You guys can't see it in his left hand. So he's going to go save a person
with a
microphone in his hand. He's going to pull a guy out of a truck off of the hill with a microphone in his hand. Even if he was saving a life. That alone would show you how evil the person is to make sure that they have the microphone when saving someone.
And then he's asking him these kind of like questions.
But see, the camera was on the truck. Then it was kind of cut on the legs. And then somehow the camera's here following this guy. The cameraman's not helping, right? Because the cameraman's moving. And at the same time, you don't see the guy come out of the truck.
Right.
You see him come off of the grass.
Right.
Lord have mercy.
So he still has the mic in his left hand.
Why is the cameraman still behind the camera going in and out?
Right.
Are you all right now, buddy?
Yeah.
All right, take your breath, and we're going to pick you up. We're going to want to get
still
you
has
off
the
of this
mic.
bank.
And the mic in the guy's face.
We're going to get you off of this bank.
We're going to get you off this bank. Now,
there's the mic right there.
You see that he has pants and bogs on, right?
Yeah, did you notice that? He went from the shorts and the what are those little Crocs in one shot, and now he's got on like waders.
I can't, you know what? Shorts and sandals to me seem like a pretty good outfit to rescue somebody in water anyway.
Did he have to pause and then go put those on?
And it cut out again.
Right.
We just literally rescued this guy out. You can see his car, John. I don't know, Brian, you were working on that video. This man just accidentally drove into a...
I gotta get out of the shot.
Road, didn't it?
I gotta get out of the shot.
Like
this is
road.
a shot.
And
I
his
gotta get
truck
out of it.
Just went in, and it's now going down that ravine, and we just pulled him out of the ravine. It happens within seconds. This is why it's so dangerous right now to be out. It's unbelievably out. Come on, sir, let's get you up into the dry.
into the dry, and it cuts again. There's
Well,
lots
hey,
of
Listen to this. Listen to this. Listen.
I want to thank these guys for saving my life. Thank you.
Where are you from, buddy?
Winnie, Texas.
Winnie, Texas. So you guys have been hit pretty hard in Winnie, Texas.
Yeah.
What's your name?
Jerry Summerall.
Jerry, somebody needs to come and get you.
I'm staying at the motel right up here.
Oh, Lord. Okay. Well, just take a breath. Take a breath. Get some water.
Get out of the shot while I continue to talk. Oh, look at
John, that's just... I mean, it just happened right before our eyes. We were able to get Jerry
no.
and
I'm
Jerry
calling
Summerall
fake.
from Winnie, Texas arrived.
Fake,
A fellow with a
fake.
pickup truck
Even
took
to
him
the
back
guy.
to his hotel. He's calling the police.
Even to the guy, because the way he looks at him, and it's almost like he's like, okay, I have to thank them for saving my life. Because I've been thinking, before I saw this, I thought to myself, CNN is going to have to fake something because they have looked so bad throughout this entire thing, sticking mics in people's faces and not helping. They need a moment that says, look, CNN saved somebody. And I was thinking to myself, they're going to have to do something. And here they have done it. And he looks at the guy and he says, I just want to thank you guys for saving my life. It's kind of like a fed line. And I'm sorry, I know that guy, he looks adorable and he looks believable, but I got to tell you guys, I am calling foul here.
We're going to just watch it through.
A power cord?
Window comes down, arm comes out, you don't see the person. The camera's straight
You got a
ahead.
rope?
Listen to the footprints here in a second. Cut.
He's running. Camera moves at that point.
Hold on, I'm trying to get you a rope.
Shorts, Crocs.
Why?
And then they cut out.
Sorry, I
completely
told you
there.
I was going to play it all the way through. But why would the cameraman be staying behind the camera if a man is literally drowning and time to move it?
Right.
All right, buddy, come on.
There, he's moving it again.
No, don't go backwards.
He's already out of the truck.
In waiters.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. We got a car in the ditch. We just pulled a fellow out.
And he's already got the people on the phone. What was he calling them before? You put everything down. You put your phone down. You go get the guy out. And then you call. But he's like, no, ma'am, we got a guy, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
CNN is worse than fake news, you guys. This is criminal. Like, they should be in jail. Like, all these people need to be in jail because you can't fake something like this.
Yeah.
It's not even funny.
No, it's at this point,
What do
it's
you
not.
think?
Everybody, they are all agreeing that it is. Somebody says their emotions are all wrong. I agree. They're trying to play hyped up and like this has just been a really intense moment where I'm sorry, I don't see it. A lot of us want to show the lady, which we already did 2 days ago, who kind of cussed out the CNN reporter. If you guys didn't see that, go back and watch our live show from 2 days ago.
Y'all just be putting microphones in our faces.
Right.
They do not care about people.
Right. Somebody says someone should take that guy's license, sir. You can't drive into rivers. At this point, because of what's happening, I realize that in these situations, sometimes you panic. And so I want to, Jasper, you just moved the thing. I want to give the benefit of the doubt to these people and try not to call out the stupidity of just, let's rescue the people in that moment. Because you had talked to me about one lady that rescued a lady that drove into a river. And unfortunately, it doesn't do much for the LGBT community because she was a homosexual. She was a lesbian. She was with her partner. And she does man up and rescue the lady. But at the end, she is a hero. But at the end, she breaks down crying and she's very emotional and she's very angry at the woman for driving into the water. And I'm like, you're not really doing your kind of, you know what, cause
at that point when you want to make yourself look like a hero, cut the end off. Do not put up the part where you're yelling at the woman that you just saved.
Right.
Okay, so I do want to cover this a little bit. Harvey scams abound as crooks prey on disaster victims and altruistic Americans. Now, you've already saw Linda Salsauer.
You have already seen.
Whatever. Linda Sauer. She set up she linked to a group, said donate to this group who has nothing to do with saving victims. It's all like this liberal leftist.
Now let's keep in mind while we're talking about these scams, no one in the history of scamming people during crises will ever be able to top the Clintons.
Right, absolutely.
This is a child's play.
Exactly.
But we can still cover it.
for Texas law enforcement and emergency workers to manage. I want to bring in Ken Paxton, Texas Attorney General. Sir, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
Obviously, you see the best and the worst of people after a devastating event like this, which is far from over. I want to ask you, what is your biggest concern as we just begin to start to see some of the damage?
Well, obviously looting, but also, you know, we have a lot of price gouging going on. We've had over 200 complaints since this all began. We're investigating a lot of those. Fortunately, we have people letting us know. We have a website where people are informing us, and so, you know, there are severe penalties in Texas, up to $20,000 per occurrence. And if you do this to somebody that's over 65, the penalty is even greater, so up to $250,000. So we're serious about this, and we're going to try to stop it.
Yeah, I have seen an interview earlier. You had said anywhere between $42.99 and $99 for a case of water. So folks are certainly seizing on the opportunity. But I want to ask you, as you start to look at some of the damage that we're seeing on the ground, what are reports that you're getting? You know, we're just getting photographs and video out of Rockport. We're just getting into some of these communities that, you know, maybe there's one way in and one way out, and we're just starting to see some photographs. What are you hearing?
Well, I'm actually hearing the same thing on the Rockport, Ingleside, Fort Aransas Pass. Those are the 4 focuses for our emergency relief and for our law enforcement going in. Obviously, we've only had since daybreak to really deal with this, but those are the areas I think that we're most concerned with right now.
Right, and
so there has been some looting, some price gouging, and unfortunately, from what I was reading, only about 20% of the homes had flood insurance.
Oh my gosh.
So there's a difference between home insurance and flood insurance.
Oh, absolutely. I think we all know that.
And 80% of these homes,
which is really strange
covered.
to me in Texas, because I do know that they are prone to flooding. Like we live in Ohio, and we would have to pay extra for flood insurance, and sometimes you can't even get it. Flood insurance is a big deal.
Right. So there's going to be a lot of people scamming people, saying, "Hey, give to us. We want, you know,
right
for sure." Well, hi Jasper. What are you just walking around?
Yeah.
She's normally just sits back. Okay, so. Let's see.
But I do want to talk about the fact I watched a live footage segment by Millie Weaver for InfoWars. She was at, I think, a Valero, is that gas station down in Texas, and she was talking to the people at the gas station, and yes, they had run out of gas.
Yeah.
But they said, and this is probable to me, it makes total sense, that the media was hyping up the gas shortage. And that they saw people driving up with big, giant drums and emptying out their gas there. So there were either people that were monopolizing on the situation to go and buy the gas and then sell it to other people later on or something like that. But they were blaming it on the media hyping up the gas shortage that was causing people to fly in and get as much gas as they could, whereas they were saying that they didn't feel that there would have been a gas shortage if the media hadn't interfered and said, look at all this gas look at all the gas shortage, you know, and then everybody gets afraid, and then you want to go and buy a bunch. So I don't know.
I want to play a couple interviews here and give like a face and a backstory to these are real people. So
the water was really bad.
We didn't have no water or food.
15 hours with no water and food?
No water and food.
And how did you get out of there?
How did we get out of there? My mama, she made go on in America, and we got rescue teams to come get us.
It was like it was a window in a 2-story house. We had to break the window to get to the roof, and then we seen helicopters, and we just started waving shirts and bright color stuff so they could notice us.
They kept going past and circling around. Then news holders asked me to get out.
So they sent a boat?
They sent boats and helicopters, but the helicopters, it didn't grab us. The boats, it was hard for them to get us to go on.
Because the current was strong.
And it was high. So if the boats would have flipped, we would all.
How many people were in the boat?
It was a lot.
About 5 people.
Well, in my boat, it was
30 people on the roof.
30 people on the roof?
30 people.
Is this a house or apartment?
It was an apartment.
Hi. Good.
Oh, is that Mom?
America.
No, that was the Mom.
Oh,
okay.
Hey. So you were in Katrina?
All of us. There was babies.
Oh my gosh. Wow. So how does what you're seeing tonight compare to what happened to you in New Orleans?
You can compare either. Like, there's no comparison. Both of them was tragic incidents. And, like, Houston is way bigger, so the problem is way bigger. And it was hard trying to get to everybody. Just trying to stay positive. Like, you got children, like, the children watching everything.
Stay positive.
React and cut up. They gon' freak out and stuff. And so everybody got to try to stay together. It was like 8 different families. We all came together and got on the roof and did what we had to do to get out of
Organizationally.
Go ahead. If you guys were able to hear her, but she was saying we have to stay positive, we have to stay together, but there's no comparison between Katrina and Houston because Houston is way bigger, and so the problem is going to be much larger.
Right. We might have no clothes, houses, cars, none of that matter. None of that matter. We got our life. Like, that's the best thing. Like, we walk away with.
Yeah, she said, we might not have any clothes or shoes or cars, but none of that matters. We have our life.
Right. You can't be more grateful for that. Like, you don't ask for nothing better. Like, I think the message should be, like, for everybody to try to sit together and help each other. Like, don't try to bring nobody down all this time. Like, everybody needs to sit together no matter who you is, race, gender, age.
This time is not a time to bring anybody down.
Right.
Just bring everybody together.
I was like, none of that matter. Just trying to get out of there. It was big families. We all from the children to the elderly, like, we all suffered.
How long did it take you to get out?
We was up there for like 15 hours, but we couldn't do nothing. We was stranded. We were stranded. The current was too bad.
Was it Sunday night?
This was Sunday because
and it was Monday morning, early morning.
Friday night, my sister's house had flooded. House had got flooded, so they evacuated to my house. And they had a lot of people stranded in the apartment building. So me and my brother went out in that water. It was up the hill. I had asthma. And we had to swim like a block down and we thought like, let's just help it. And everybody thought my house was the safest to come, so we all went to my house. Not knowing that the bayou behind my house was going to break Friday night, and we didn't know. And always was when it wasn't raining, water just started rising. And it sat still like under the knee, but like you could tell a current was in it. But it wasn't nothing major. Like we knew, okay, we just gotta wash the water. So we washed the water all night or whatever, Friday, Saturday.
It wasn't like
Saturday night, like I'm gonna say, the only thing I can remember, like 10 minutes after the fight, the water had got soaked. It had been like between that fight. By the time the fight came on, I'm gonna say by the first round, the water wasn't even that high. By the time the fight went on, it was. They had then just rolled so quick. It rolled like real quick. And like I'm like, we had to hurry up and evacuate my house to get across the street. As we get across the street trying to get everybody out of my house, her daddy went under the water. We had to get him because he can't swim. My aunt went under the water. She can't swim. They daddy fell under the water. He couldn't swim. They daddy, he couldn't swim. So it's me, my brother, and my neighbor. We all try to get them across that current. But the current, like, soon as you step off, it's sweeping you under. We seen people die and all that, like, and you couldn't do nothing. You helpless because the current is so strong. The one man went in to try to help a woman. Both of them died. He almost made it to her, but the current was so strong, it just swept him away so fast. And then another girl, like, I knew her personally, and she was holding on to the tree, and I was trying to tell her, just hanging there. But the current, everybody underestimated the current. The current was so strong. Even the Coast Guard, they couldn't even get in because the current was too bad. It was like they were sending a helicopter, but everybody couldn't wait on helicopters. People that was on the lower level, they get up high enough, and the water came so fast. That's what really was. Everybody was stuck on the water, just sitting there because the water sat for a while. But 15 minutes after that fight, I think the big fell down, And that's what made it just rush. It just rushed, and the water just came up fast. It just started rising fast, like in a matter of minutes. Like in 10 minutes, the water went from our waistline to up over my chest. Like that's how fast it was rising.
I don't know if you guys are having trouble hearing her because of the background noise is so loud, but if you didn't catch that, what she was saying is the water just stayed at a level for a while, and then a barrier broke, and then the water just rose, and she had people that were literally holding on, and they got swept away because nobody, even the Coast Guard, didn't judge the undercurrent correctly. And you know what that's like. It's, you've been to the beach and you get in the water and you think it's fine, you get in a river, and that undercurrent, that is what creates a deadly, deadly situation. Not just being in deep water or deep water that's flowing, is that undercurrent. So I want to get to some of the comments here. Because caution slippery when wet had said, because a lot of people were saying there's bad mosquitoes right now. Watch out, there's going to be a lot of mold. There's going to be so much damage. And they said, watch out for the false flag with the mosquitoes. Sooner or later, they're going to say Zika. And so they can spray more toxic chemicals all over everybody and profit from it with disaster capitalism. And I agree with that, because you do have to be careful. They do all of a sudden want to spray, not only spray, but they've got these geoengineered mosquitoes that they release and things like that, which is really, really scary.
Her name is Melissa Nelson. This was that was her daughter and 3 nephews, and she says that the roof caved in, and she and her family saw a little girl swept away in the flood waters. The little girl's father drowned as he was trying to save her.
That's insanity. I mean, I think there were, somebody had said they had a tally of, what was it, 47 dead.
Last time I heard it was 39, but
that number seems incredibly small to me.
How could you just know? There could be so many random people just swept away.
Yeah. Let's see. Lender says it takes a tragedy to bring people together. I could not agree more. And we're actually thankful, not for the deaths and not for the hardship and the loss of property and things like that that people have suffered, but thankful that this has happened in our country right now when we needed it so, so badly.
Then people were playing music.
There was that one lady that was singing. Did you see that one? Oh yeah, you showed it to me.
It's nice everybody brought their instruments.
I know. How do you
wonder what people are going to grab, right?
Right.
So, you know, they're saying that compared to Katrina, compared to Sandy, compared to all these other disasters, it's gone as smoothly as it can go. And I want to show you that President Trump and Governor Abbott have both declared like Sunday a national day of prayer.
I love it.
For Houston and for the victims. And not only that, I want to get to you or show you that, but I want to show you that they people prayed over. Here we go. Here's what I want to show you.
Yes. Prayer. Let's pray together, may we? Yes. Father, your word says, if your people who are called by your name will humble themselves and pray and seek your face, you will forgive their sins and heal their land. Father, I thank you that we have a president, President Donald Trump, who believes in the power of prayer. We thank you for a vice president like Vice President Pence, who works alongside of him. And we thank you that the president had the wisdom to call our nation right now for a day of prayer this coming weekend, Father. This is what we need. We pray for healing for our country. Yes. We pray for physical healing for those who have suffered the devastation from Hurricane Harvey. Father, be with them. Provide for their needs. Help us to be the embodiment of Jesus Christ as we minister to them. But Father, we also want to pray for spiritual healing, emotional healing for our country. This country has been bitterly divided for decades upon decades. And now you have given us a gift, President Donald Trump, who wants to bring healing to this country. And he is bringing healing to this country. And I pray that you would give him and Vice President Pence the wisdom they need to truly make our country the country you want us to be. We want America to be great again. And we can know that America can only be great if America is good. And we know we have a president who wants to make America good. I pray your blessing upon him, the First Lady, their family. Give Give them wisdom as they seek to honor you. And we pray this in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, who came and died and rose again, that we might have eternal life. It's in his name that we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much.
So a couple of topics before I forget that I wanted to get to.
And all the Democrat, George Soros, globalist demons went screaming. Ah!
Somebody had said in the comments a little bit earlier that they're probably going to try to put together different legislations and measures like Harvey bills and stuff, but they'll pack it full of a lot of fluff. And it reminded me of what we were talking about on the dog walk the other day. I think it was the governor of Texas, where they were giving him a hard time.
Oh, yeah, somebody on CNN said Abbott needed to resign because of climate change or something. I don't know.
Well, no, what he was saying, you were telling me that there was a bill that was set forth, and everybody was saying how cold-hearted.
That was Senator Ted Cruz.
Okay.
Senator Ted Cruz. So during Sandy, there was a package that was supposed to be voted upon that would have given Sandy relief.
Mm-hmm.
But Ted Cruz was called out, and he said, and they said, you want relief for Texas, but you didn't vote for the Sandy bill. And he says 2/3 of that bill was packed on pork. He says if it was a Sandy bill, which is what I voted no for, so they would unload the pork. So you got random guys, random senators from all over the country packing on millions and millions of random things. I don't know what the things were, parks or highways or things like that. That's called pork spending, right? Where you have a bill for one thing, and then 2/3 of it aren't for the thing that you're voting on. So you look like a person who's not voting for Sandy, that I would have voted for Sandy, but I can't vote for this.
Right.
That's, yeah.
Okay, so then that also brings me to the fact that some people were calling out the fact that President Trump had just days before Hurricane Harvey lifted these kind of restrictions for building codes and different things like that. Well, for floodplains specifically, and for because a lot of times when you're building in an area, they put on so many restrictions, and you guys know this, so that you can't do anything. We have a friend and a neighbor whose house is in a floodplain, and he wanted to put on, but it's not really, but he wanted to put up a garage.
A 100-year floodplain.
Yeah, 100, thank you. And he wanted to put up a garage, and they made him put up brick block like this high. All of the outlets had to be this high, and then they didn't even want to insure his house or the garage because of this. There's so many restrictions. So what Trump did was he was lifting these building restrictions because a lot of times it is just fluff. But what they were coming out as saying that, Trump has lifted these things. Of course, it won't go into measure for a while because this just happened. But now all these people are going to be able to build all of these things. And then when the floods come, everything is going to crumble and fall apart, and it will all be Trump's fault. But what we need is more common sense and not more restrictions.
The entire city of Houston is built like in a floodplain, and there's not enough. There's not enough outlets. There's not enough culverts.
Right.
And to be honest, there is a difference between when you're building cities and individuals building homes.
I agree.
And so over in Europe, a lot of these builders, they actually built for floods. These are like, hundreds and hundreds of year-old cities, thousands-year-old cities that were built with, like, smart people, who thought these things through, right?
As you sound so smart saying, like, smart people.
Right.
But anyway, so those were some of the things as far as the Hurricane Harvey that we wanted to cover. We actually are in the middle of it right now here in Ohio.
Harvey's rain is raining upon us.
It's been raining all day. It's been kind of windy. We thought it was going to be worse. It was predicted as having 35 miles an hour.
Below us in Kentucky, they're going to get about 4 inches of rain.
We were supposed to get about 4. I think we'll probably get about 2 when all is said and done. And it's continuing to move northeast-ish.
What time are we at? Okay.
So
I want to kind of sum things up because we've been going for a while. But I wanted to share this with you. Poland. Poland has been just right in the center of everything. They are a humble nation. Nobody thought much about Poland until the whole refugee crisis, and now all eyes are on Poland. And this LifeSite news article is pretty cool. It says, it talks about on Tuesday at 5 p.m. on August 4th, the city of Warsaw came to a halt as air raid sirens split the air. Instead of diving for cover, drivers and pedestrians remained motionless for a solid minute. Then they went about their business, leaving bewildered foreign tourists open-mouthed. Why? Because it was the 73rd anniversary of the start of the Warsaw Uprising.
Warsaw.
Whatever. The uprising, lasting from August, it's like Warsaw machine. August 1st to October 2nd, 1944, was the angry city's most concerted effort against the Nazi occupation. The Soviet allies were just outside of... Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I wasn't following. Warsaw.
The Poles expected them to take advantage of the uprising and defeat the Germans. They didn't. Stalin had his own plans for Poland's future. During and in the immediate aftermath of the
Warsaw
Uprising, not to be confused with the
Warsaw
Ghetto Uprising of 1943, approximately 16,000 members of the
Armia
Polish resistance were killed, and between 150,000 and 200,000 Polish civilians were massacred. 25% of the city's buildings were destroyed during the 2 months of battle, and afterward the Germans deliberately raised the city block by block so that only 15% of
Warsaw's
original buildings remained. The pretty historic center that tourists see today is a brick-by-brick reconstruction. So the Nazis despised the Poles as these subhuman slaves, the Slavs and not slaves, Slavs, which is interesting because they're of the same color, and hoped to wipe Warsaw off the face of the earth. They failed. But then, obviously, they fell under, they fell under other regimes and things like that. So it's interesting because the one thing that has remained steadfast in Poland is their family values. From what and this is kind of new to me. Like somebody sent us the history of Poland in this beautiful book, and I've been, I can see that their values are American values. Seriously.
But now that they're American values, it's kind of a universal love. They're Christian godly values.
Right. So this author says, though he lives in Britain, he says, I will confine my remarks to the secrets of Poland's ability to remain, despite a devastating war, 45 years of communism, and the sexual revolution, Polish. There was a 2012 film called You Are God, which told the story of a Polish hip-hop band failed hilariously to express how poor Poland was in 2001. Sure, the buildings were crumbling and one of the boys had a Walkman in constant need of repair by his father, but his father lived with him at home. Get this, you guys. All the hip-hop loving boys had fathers at home.
Wow.
Today, only 3.7% of Polish households are composed of a single parent with kids.
That is ridiculous. That is a number that every country should be aiming for, but it's not something you can legislate. It's not something you can throw programs at. Somebody had once again said this in the comments, and it bears repeating, Poland, may Jesus Christ, King of Poland. And it's these family values. That's the only way. I'm sorry, you guys. Our country was made, and our Constitution was made for a religious and moral people. It is wholly inadequate to the governing of any other. And when you have a religious and moral people, specifically, as Thomas Jefferson said, he said, listen, I might not be a Christian, but I want my country and my family to have Christian values, because that is the religion that creates the most peace.
And he says, according to the teachings of Jesus, I call myself a Christian.
So when you have a desire to change your country, to get rid of the single parent children, stat, to lower it to something that small, the only way you're going to be able to do that, in my humble opinion, is through Jesus Christ. And supporting that.
3.7 of Polish households composed of a single parent with kids.
That's a staggering
it's remarkable.
number.
So you're going to have, it's better to be poor and to have your mom and dad, and to be raised in a household.
Right.
So we may have more economic things. Every kid might have an iPhone, but close to 80% of African American children are born to single moms, and close to 25% of everybody else.
And it really makes a difference. I think there are still people that hold to the thought that it doesn't make a difference.
This is compared to, and these are off the top of my head, I've read them 500 million times. In around the 50s and 60s, I want to say African Americans born out of wedlock were around 12%, and everybody else, and they say whites are about 4 or 5%. Right. It was closer to this number.
Yeah.
Before the sexual revolution, everybody loves this sexual revolution. Everybody loves free love and all these things, and you can have sex outside of marriage.
Except for you have to realize it was agenda driven. It was forced on society.
It was part of this communist. It was part of the Marcusian Frankfurt School. Mm-hmm. They literally said, we want to marry communist ideology with Freudian ideology, which leads that everything is sexual, right? So when you put yourself aside and you're like, no, I'm going to get married and then have kids, and because I want to be part of a society and raise people correctly. Right. And now today you have literally most people, they have sex, they have kids, then maybe 3 or 4 years down the road they get married. Right. It's all crazy. It's all weird, and it leads to these millennials who are mommy-less and daddy-less.
They need safe spaces because
and
they didn't have any strength built in them from a solid parental atmosphere.
Exactly. We hear mom, and I remember hearing this growing up. I put my kids in daycare, and my kids are okay. No, they're not.
Your kids aren't okay.
Look at millennials today.
They're not okay.
They're snowflakey. Yeah. Because, and this is the God's honest truth, because they were put in daycare. You have to have, here's the thing, I'm a farmer. I'm a gardener. I can plant a really great stalk of tree in the ground. But if I don't water it and nurture it and fertilize it, in a few years, it's going to grow up, it's going to be spindly, it's going to be weak. Right? The formative years of everybody and everything are like 0 to 5.
We can bring it down to the piglets because we also raise pigs.
Right.
We've had some moms that didn't want to nurse before, and it's terrifying because if those babies don't get the colostrum right when they're born, they're not able to fight bad bacteria in their gut, and they can die. We can feed them formula. They actually have formula for piglets, and you can do the constant bottle feeding. I don't know what that was.
Stacy, she's sending us a message.
Oh, you can do the bottle feeding and things like that, but the chances of a piglet surviving on a bottle-fed formula is, I think it's like 15%.
It's low.
And it's not just the colostrum of when they're first born, but it's a continuation of that. They need the mother's milk. They need that nurturing, and the mom teaches them how to be a pig. Can it be done outside of that? Yes. Will the pig be okay? It might, but
you walk through the aisles of like these baby foods, and like you have to buy for $1.50 like pureed carrots and like soy milk. Awful for children.
Yeah.
And we become this crazy like Star Trek society that everybody thinks could ever be real.
Right.
I mean, how are you?
And they're replicator food, where literally it just combines all of the atoms and whatever it is, and then all of a sudden you have Mama's roast beef, and mashed potatoes.
So Ben Shapiro shared a story that goes along with this, in my opinion. It was really kind of bothered me, where an estranged father came 6 months later back into an infant's life and wanted parental rights, and the judge said that he could feed this baby formula even though the mom was breastfeeding, and said she didn't pump enough milk. I'm getting to a point here to give the child the breast milk, and the father said, no, I want the baby, I want overnight visitation rights, and I want a bottle feed, and the judge said okay. And to me, I saw so many men who are so angry over this father's rights thing. And I get it. I get the fathers need rights and everything like that. And I get there's a lot of working women out there who aren't really good mothers. But when you have people who are so selfish that they don't think about an infant, it reminds me of the story of the song with Song of Solomon. Or not Song of Solomon, but with Solomon.
With the two mothers.
One woman killed her baby by sleeping with it and rolled on it, and another woman stole the baby, and he had to decide who's...
No, that same woman stole another woman's
That's
baby.
what I'm saying.
You said another woman stole the baby.
Well,
same woman.
It's the story of the two women and the baby. Okay, and so they go before King Solomon, and he has to decide who's the real mom of this baby.
Right.
And he says, well, why don't we just chop the baby in half? And the one mother said, fine, and the other mother said... No.
Just
give it to her. Just give it to her. And he said, that's your baby. And everybody said, oh, how wise is Solomon, right? So when you have anyone, like a father saying, give me the baby.
Right.
I will force feed the baby. I will give the baby.
Without realizing. But in his defense, because I am going to defend him here, we live in a society where the doctors push formula as soon as a baby is born, and everyone thinks that formula-fed babies are okay.
Well, not everyone.
A lot of people do. Not everyone, but I would say by and large, society, a lot of people, they have to buy formula. It's part of the cost.
Right.
So the guy himself is probably so deluded and so brainwashed that he doesn't understand that a mother's milk and the time with the mother...
For me, yeah, the time with the mother. It's not even about the formula to me. When you have these moms who go off to work and then put infants in daycare for somebody else just to hold the baby for like a couple hours. So my point is that Poland realizes that you need a mom and a dad, because a mom has a job and a dad has a job and they're a team and you work together. Right. But we have severed teams, and severed teams produce not so good players. Okay? And so we have the gun violence in Chicago, or the racism, or whatever you have. It's because of broken families who aren't focused on loving each other and being grounded in the Word of God, like Poland. Like Poland. Even in this movie that I was talking about, the band's biggest star got his girlfriend pregnant, but guess what? They got married before that, and she had that baby. Okay? So it just... It says today, it gives you more figures. I don't want to really go through all the figures, but it's about faith.
We will try to remember to
link to the articles.
Link to these. I know it takes us a lot of time to do that, and we need to
for example, in 2014, 83% of Poles said they kept the Good Friday fast. So Jesus is Lord of Poland, and they're patriots, and they love their country, and they've fought through history and different things like that. So I love this article. I love what it represents. It's exactly what we represent, and we're not Catholic, and I think that this is where we have to all be able to come together and say, you have your beliefs, you have your beliefs, you have your freedom of speech, you have your freedom of speech.
All right, so shifting gears lastly, because we do need to wrap this up. Earlier, worth a look, Justin, I'm not sure if you're still with us. It's late there in the UK. He had sent me links on North Korea that I did not have time to look at, but apparently there is kind of some new stuff developing with Kim Jong-un. I'm not really sure.
Like brand new?
I didn't get a chance to look at it. Justin, is it important? Should we cover it?
Harvey, this is funny to me. I kind of want to end with this because it's funny. The reporter is like, so what's Donald Trump going to do for Harvey?
There's been a huge outpouring of support from people all around the country for the victims of Harvey. You've seen people lining up to volunteer. You've seen people donating tens of millions of dollars. Can you speak to what the president and his family have done regarding donation for Harvey relief personally?
Yes, I can. I had a chance to speak directly with the president earlier, and I'm happy to tell you that he is would like to join in the efforts that a lot of the people that we've seen across this country do. And he's pledging $1 million of personal money to the fund, and he's actually asked that I check with the folks in this room, since you are very good at research and have been doing a lot of reporting into the groups and organizations that are best and most effective in helping and providing aid, and he'd love some suggestions from the folks here, and I'd be happy to take those if any of you have them. But as I said, he'll pledge proudly $1 million of his own personal money to help the...
So she kind of says, since you are all so good at reporting, he wanted to ask you, which ones are the best charities, the ones who get the most money. Obviously not the Clintons. We've seen what they did to Haiti. So,
yeah, I hope they pick somebody from a reputable news.
You know what? We had much more, but I think we're going to end on that.
All right, so I want to go to a couple of the questions here. Okay, so as far as the North Korea thing, Justin says next time. Give me a chance to look that up. Sorry, I didn't have time to do that. Let's see. Sorry, guys. I didn't have a chance to read the comments because I was so enthralled with Huckabee Sanders. Michelle, Leah, you want fast news? Go to Drudge Report. Yes, we go to Drudge all of the time. All right, so we're going to actually
Judge
just
the
go
judge.
ahead and just about sign off here. But before we do, I'm super excited. If you didn't see the video that I put up an hour before we went live, everybody here is
Come back
required.
on Sunday.
We probably will go
1
live
o'clock
tomorrow.
Eastern time.
We're going to go live tomorrow, probably, I'm going to guess.
Probably. We'll see.
But for sure, we're going to go live on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And in the UK, it's going to be 6 p.m. And Horatio McShetty, if we have new viewers and you have not seen the videos that our UK correspondents...
We have a UK correspondent.
Horatio has done. When we started getting really popular, one of the reasons why was our Nigel Farage coverage. So it gained us, like half of our subs at that time were UK subscribers. And we love you guys. You are fantastic. One of them that came to us from that was Horatio. And what we needed was this unity between the UK and the United States, but it's really hard to cross lines when the people in the United States don't have any clue how the politics run in Great Britain.
And by the way, the first thing I learned, it's not England, it's Great Britain, and I have said it, and I will continue to say it. And every time I say the word England, all the people in Great Britain are like, it's not England, it's Great Britain!
Exactly. So anyway, Horatio does a fantastic job of breaking down UK politics for us. Now, he has been really busy, and so he hasn't had a chance to do any videos for us, but he has committed to doing a Skype interview with us, and rumor is that he may be cooking while doing so, because he also, I call him a chef, he hates it when I say that, but he's a really, really good cook. I haven't tasted his food, but I get pictures and it looks really awesome. So anyway, I think he might be cooking while we do this. So it's going to be really fun. We'll have Horatio on the back screen, and we will be reading your questions, and this is going to be really fun. Because I mentioned the other day that we would do like a regular Resistance Chicks Q&A where you guys can just ask us any kind of questions. Earlier, somebody had asked where I got this shirt. And my mom, thank God, she was commenting for me. It's actually an official United States Olympic shirt. Got that at Goodwill a couple of days ago. I thought it was super awesome. So, stupid questions like that. Nothing, as long as it is family friendly, is outside of what you can ask. But specifically, Horatio will be here not only to add fun, because he's a really fun guy, but to give us the answers that I think a lot of us, at least in the United States, are wanting to know with what's going on in the UK and in Europe and abroad. He's really well versed in a wide range of subjects.
We did a trial run where we were talking about Tommy Robinson, we're talking about Luton, we're talking about the Labour Party and how they need the Muslim vote. And so we're gonna delve into those harder issues. How there's open commies over there, Communist Party. You know, we're gonna delve into some hard topics. So go ahead and bring your questions, and we'll just have a good time.
Yeah, so Worth a Look said, should we leave questions in the last video that we made? No, unless you're not going to be able to be here, in which case, on that video that I did put up, go ahead and leave some questions, and I'll try to
know that Horatio would love for you to leave the questions in advance. He likes to have them in advance.
He does like to have them in advance.
So
he says I don't do well off the cuff.
So,
but
yes.
He actually does really well off the cuff.
Yes, you can leave comments in this video after this video goes up.
Right.
Say... return, R.E. Horatio, and leave your question for Horatio.
But
he actually does like questions in advance.
But it is going to be live, so we'll be able to give the questions, and have kind of a good conversation. I called it in my video, Little Resistance Chicks Family Time. So I'm super excited, and hopefully if it's a success, which I can't imagine it's not going to be, we may convince him to do more of these maybe once a month or something. I think that would be really fun.
Yes, with our cousins across the pond.
Exactly. All right, so everybody keep saying, please sing. Now, Britt Baza, you said you sent me the song, The Jerusalem. I don't know the song yet. Let's just hang on. Let us learn it, and then we'll bring it back. I haven't had a chance to do that. Yes, we're doing it live, Justin. We're going to be doing our interview with Horatio live, which is going to make it really exciting. Everybody says sing Jerusalem. You know what we'll do? We will sing Jerusalem on Sunday when we go live with Horatio, a little ode to the Brits. So we have a day to practice. All right. Can't you Google the lyrics? Yeah, we could Google the lyrics. I don't know how it goes. What do you have for a song for them today, right now? Yeah.
Here comes Sydney. She's coming down the stairs.
Sing a song, Leah.
You can come down, Sid.
Pull it up. there it is. Maya says it in Christ Alone. I told Leah the other day I wanted to do this song, and she says, no, Michelle, it's kind of a slow song, and I'm not that familiar with it. I'm not really either.
You're going to have to...
Oh, maybe we could just play it.
Yeah, but then you won't be able to monetize it.
Okay, then pull up the lyrics then. I can sing it without the...
See? Do you see how we have to do this?
Yep. We're sisters. Where's the lyrics?
You think you can sing this?
I don't know.
You actually started out really good. You should sing this song. I will see if I can sing it with you, but Michelle actually did sing this very well. She knows it, so you should sing it. You were singing it.
Okay.
So go. I could bring the guitar down for you, but I don't.
In Christ alone, my hope is found. He is my light, my strength, my song. This cornerstone, this solid ground, firm through the fiercest drought and storm. What heights of love, what depths of peace, when fears are stilled, when striving cease. My comforter, my all in all, here in the love of Christ I stand. In Christ alone, who took on flesh, fullness of God in helpless babe. This gift of love and righteousness, scorned by the ones he came to save, till on that cross when Jesus died, the wrath of God was satisfied. For every sin on him was laid, here in the death of Christ I live. All right. That's going to be enough for today because Sydney is going crazy, and that was really high there.
It was good.
Wasn't ready for that.
That was fun. Very low.
I do really like that song. I feel like it was confirmation that we were supposed to sing it because I said, Leah, let's sing this song next time.
I don't remember. I don't realize that I knew it that well. Like
Natalie Grant, she's awesome.
She's been around since...
The dog is adding a bit of baritone. All right, you guys, we're going to go ahead and sign off. Do not forget to share these on your social media pages. Like, comment, and subscribe.
To Mass Faith 3.
And Resistance Chicks.
Find us on Facebook.
Follow us on Twitter. This is Leah Michelle signing off for Resistance Chicks, where it is not just a conspiracy theory if it's the truth. We love you guys. God love you. God loves you. God love you. God bless. And don't forget to come back Sunday. Like I said, we'll probably go live again tomorrow, but we definitely want you to save the date and the time, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to have our very first Skype interview, and it will be with Horatio McShetty from the UK, and it's going to be a really good time. So I want to thank all of our moderators. I saw Stacy, I saw Michael, I saw Gary, I saw John Petter. I can't remember if I saw anybody else here, but thank you all for being moderators. Thank God we didn't get pinged. Doesn't look like we had any trolls really tonight, so thank you guys. Love it, Leah.
Our first story was about gang members being paid to not gangbang and shoot people in Sacramento, and so I'm just thinking I'm in the wrong profession.
Yeah.
You know, just being paid not to kill people. I mean, that's like a dream job, right?
Yep. Okay, so for the live feed, for those of you that don't know, because everybody's like, I'll go back and watch it. It does take a little while for it to process. And so you can't comment in the comment section until it has completely processed through. So
we should sing this Christ Alone with like a gangster rap. Just kind of.
Somebody said earlier, don't rap. I thought that my rapping was really good. You know we should sing.
When problems start tumbling.
No. With the rap.
It starts in a rap.
Yeah.
Problems start tumbling and you got nowhere to go. Just listen to God and He'll show you the promise to be there when you are scared at night. The promise to be there and hold you so tight. So cheer up, chill out. Don't worry 'cause God is still God. Cheer up, chill out. Don't worry 'cause God is still God. Love has no worries, so why are you scared? The Lord will hold your hand, and if you stumble, you still won't fall. So cheer up, chill out, don't worry, 'cause God is still God. Cheer up, chill out, don't worry, 'cause God is still God. For all have sinned and fallen short of God's glory, being justified freely by His grace through the redemption that is in Jesus Christ. Jesus bled, Jesus died, He was mocked, spat at, and despised. They didn't know, they didn't care, that for their sins He came to bear. That for their sins He came to bear. But there's hope, there is life in our Lord Jesus Christ. But that's not it, that's not the end. 'Cause on the third day Jesus rose again. 'Cause on the third day Jesus rose again. So cheer up, chill out, don't worry, 'cause God is still God. Cheer up, chill out, don't worry, 'cause God is still God. Don't worry, don't worry, don't worry, 'cause God is still God. There you go. Leah and Michelle, we wrote that song when we were 16.
I was much
and
younger.
13.
Yeah, long time ago. Been a long time.
A few years ago.
And you sang it with that thing on your head.
Yes.
Just now.
I
That's
did.
Great.
I did. That was my rap. Yo, yo, yo.
Wow. Okay. All right.
They're just people in a pink camera.
Yeah, you're not real. You don't exist. It's all fake.
I got a pink, what is that? What is that called? A beetle. It's called a beetle. It's a case. So you're just people in a case.
Liberty, I thought the comment was hilarious. No, it's okay. We can't rap. We're white girls. It's okay.
We practice. Do you know I made a professional hip hop team?
We can dance hip hop. That's different than being able to rap.
Well, I actually didn't travel with them. I just made it, and then I went off to college. So, it's one of those things where you can just say...
You should do the Jesus rap song.
I don't know.
There's a Jesus rap song.
We listen to Christian rappers. Man up, mama, what's
Jesus,
more Obama on me?
Probably Jesus freak. He stood on the box at the middle of the city and he claimed he had a dream.
Yeah, see, we have all kinds of songs come to us now. What will people think?
No, we're not singing that right now. We're not singing that right now. Okay, no, we're totally signing off
I
now.
knew it all. I knew it all in the 90s, y'all. I knew them all.
Back in place, and I'm all up in your face with a rhyme that I embrace. Like a mother to her child, I'm kicking it Jesus style. For the ones I think they heard, I did use a J word, because I ain't too soft to say it, even if DJs don't play it.
Jesus is still alright with me.
Jesus is still alright, oh yeah. Jesus is still alright with me. Jesus is still alright.
From down with the one, is it on to the sound of the D to the O to the D, never dies. Some.
Okay, no, we've gone too far.
Now we're just like...
How many of our viewers actually know DC Talk? Probably not that many. Okay, no, I'm gonna go now. Okay.
Sorry.
No, we're not singing
I know them all. I know them all by heart.
But we should. We will pick those kinds of songs.
Wouldn't that be funny?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, bye guys. We love you.
You Yankees are